the intention of the workshop is, number one, we're going to get a plan, like what does 2026 mean for you? And it's not just like how many makeup appointments do you want, but it's like, what are you building? What is it that you're actually building? And the reason why that's really important is because, I said to you, I'm like, I did this campaign, it got this, really great thing. It didn't start off as a campaign, but what it did start off as is that my intention was, I'm going to give myself a year to get back in the weeds of makeup, right? Because I also knew that I did want to, educate, mentor, do something in some way. And in order for me to do that, I need to understand what's going on right now. So I need people in my chair so I can speak to and understand what is it that clients want.
Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, a safe space for ambitious beauty industry creatives to have real talk, get authentic answers, and practical tools to grow their businesses. Join me every week as me and my special guest reveal the keys to longevity and success in the beauty industry, from the ups and downs of their journey to the nitty-gritty of their struggles and triumphs. We're spilling the tea on it all, and most importantly, having fun while doing it. You ready? Hey, what's up? It's your best friend in beauty, Sonia Robinson. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. I am so happy to have you here, and I hope you're listening to this episode in high spirits and in good health. Now, in today's episode, we have the pleasure of having Sonia Rodriguez in the Friends in Beauty guest chair for the second time. Okay, so from $40 makeup appointments, y'all, to global education and six-figure launches, Sonia has spent over 25 years shaping the beauty industry as an artist, an educator, and strategist. And now through B.Class, the booked and branded edition, alongside our friend in beauty, Tiyana Robinson, she's helping artists package their talent for long-term success. And today we're going behind the scenes of what it really takes to build a business that's booked, branded, and bankable. So welcome back to the Friends of Beauty podcast, Sonia.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be talking about $40 makeup appointments.
Yes. Some people may be still there. So I feel like this is like the perfect conversation to have, especially going into the new year. Everybody's kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what direction they want to go in. They're setting their goals already. So I'm excited to have you here to talk about this.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is the perfect time to be having this conversation.
Yeah. So before we dive into it, we're going to start off with some icebreakers, because you all can totally go back to Sonia's previous episode. I should have pulled up the episode number, but just type it in, Sonia, it'll pop up. And I'll leave it down in the show description, the other episode. But we're going to start off with some icebreakers so they can get to know you a little bit outside of what you do professionally and catch up. So just give us 3 random facts about you.
I should have remembered to prepare. And actually, I chose not to because I was like, I want them to be, I love that you do this. They're so spontaneous. 3 random facts about me. I think I mentioned that I loved Judge Judy last time, and I still love her.
Okay.
So let's see. The love of my life is my little dog, Sadie. And then let me see. Another random fact. I'm obsessed with different hair conditioners. That's all I do is like buy and return and try a million different hair conditioners from like Ulta and Sephora.
I love that. I can tell you always have really nice hair. Like your hair is always like put together and it's bouncy all the time.
I just feel like, if I'm not having a good hair day, nobody's having a good day. You know what I mean? Like, so.
I feel you. Sometimes it's just your hair. You just all you need to do is do your hair and you feel better.
It's everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What do people always tell you that you're good at aside from what you do professionally?
Well, I think something I'm hearing more recently is, which is kind of nice to hear, is that I'm good at listening.
Nice.
Shockingly. So I think I'm getting better at that. Yeah, we'll go with that one.
Okay, good at listening. I like that. And then as a coach and everything, I feel like that's the most important thing. One of the most important things is being able to listen and pick up on people's cues and all of that. What are they not saying? What they're not saying, all of those things. Yeah. I know you love this one. When is the last time you did something for the first time? Have you had any new experiences?
The last time I did something for the first time, well, actually, it's doing the booked and branded B.Class with Tiyana. It's
Yeah.
been quite a few years since I've done business class for makeup artists. So I'm actually really excited.
Yeah.
And I think, the exciting thing about doing something again for the first time is also seeing my growth from the last time I did this, and like, how I'm approaching things from a different mindset, and it's really amazing. So there's something to that, to like doing things for the first time again.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to hear all about the B.Class in a little bit. Can't wait to hear about it. What is a song that's on your playlist right now that you have on repeat?
Oh, okay. That new Sabrina Carpenter, Tears. I
Okay.
kind of love that vibe, which is kind of strange for me. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. It's like a little pop ditty.
Yeah. For some reason, I've had this Keisha Cole song stuck in my head for like,
Which one? Like
should
old
have let
school,
you
like throwback?
go. Yeah, like a throwback. Should have let you go. And it was so weird. I had it in my head like all day Saturday, and then I had a client who was getting ready for like a birthday party, and like the DJ was in the backyard playing already, and they were playing the song too. I was like, oh my God,
It
I
was
can't get
meant. It
away
was a
from it.
sign.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Okay. So the last one, if you weren't a beautypreneur, entrepreneur, all the things that you do, is there anything else you could see yourself doing right now?
I think in one way or another, I'd still be finding a way where I would be teaching in some way.
Yeah, yeah, always education.
Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of education, that's the end of the icebreaker. So I want to know all about B.Class now, like the book and brand edition. Where did the idea come from, and like all of that? What gap were you and Tiyana seeing in the industry that made you say like this is what's needed right now?
Well, I mean, you were a part of the inception of it too. I mean, if you remember, I reached out to you like months ago, and I was like, "Hey, like I want to teach this class, and I'd love to be on the podcast and to talk about it and all that." I think, and then you responded, and you were like, "Yeah, that's great." And then I was like, I ghosted you, and I just felt like the idea was getting a little bit bigger, and it made sense to I wanted it to be something that could really help what I'm like seeing, in the industry now. And so it started off with last year is really when I came back to New Jersey and decided I'm going to dive back into makeup.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is because for a while I've had this, idea that I do want to get back into, I don't know if it's necessarily coaching. I'm not sure what it looks like, but I love the strategy. I love the industry. And so, I was like, what does this look like? And so when I came back to New Jersey, it'd been well over a decade since I'd been in touch with any of my past clients.
Hmm.
And I had to start reaching out and, figuring out a way to grow a client list again and all of that. And so the last year has been a lot of just testing, just putting stuff out there, which is really, we can call it testing or we can call it marketing,
Hmm.
right? And so I had a campaign that, Priya, it didn't even really start off as a campaign. It was just like an idea, but it became a campaign because it worked. And so essentially, I did. So I texted everybody when I first came back, which was like hundreds of people in my phone.
Hmm.
And it was something very generic, like, "Hey, I'm back, and if you need your makeup done, blah 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 blah." And so, I got quite a few people who responded and were just like, "Thanks so much, like, welcome back, and I'll keep you in mind." And then I sent a text message like a couple months later, and that one was a game changer. That one was super specific. I made a specific offer, um, and when I tell you within minutes people were buying makeup sessions in advance before they even had things to do. I was like, oh wow, we have something here. And so I did it for a week, and at the end of the week I was like, wow, I just booked 37 appointments, which was crazy.
Wow.
And these were people you could say, well, they were in your list of contacts, which they were, but with 10 years plus, you've worked with other people.
Right.
You barely remember what it was like when we worked together. So it made me realize, like, okay, this deal is good, right? It spoke to people. It made it easy for them to say yes for a lot of reasons. Where the first one, which was like, hey, I'm back, that did nothing.
Okay.
And so I just, kept going with it. And then someone said, hey, do you do hair too? And I was like, kind of, what do you want? And so she just wanted some curls and stuff. And, I said, sure, I can do it for this much. And she was like, I don't like that. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to do it for less than that.
Right.
And so it just got me thinking. I'm like, well, I would be cool doing it if it was an extra, like, just 15, 20 minutes. Like, if I could just, clean up the curls she already has or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And so that I was like, oh, yeah, why am I not offering an upsell? So little by little, it just started, like, building upon itself.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I'll say that if we give it a full month, like 30 days after it, what had happened was a few people had bought multiple sessions, a few people had upgraded and added hair services, a few people, because I also gave a deal, if people bought more than one in the same day, that kind of thing. And so then I had someone who had purchased one of the sessions. She was like, hey, my daughter's getting married, who had also done her makeup for like the daughter's bat mitzvah.
Oh, wow.
So the following week after that, the daughter had already booked me for her wedding, and, like, paid in full. I mean, it was nuts.
Right.
So I was just like,
Like
oh
a
my
chain
God.
reaction of
It
everything.
was a chain reaction. That's exactly it. And, like, my intention in the beginning was like, well, let me just get some appointments and, on the books.
Right. You got
Once I saw,
37.
right. And so once I saw that it worked, it felt to me like, okay, this would be really helpful, for other makeup artists. And then I think it really all came together when I was thinking, what's a way to do this that's better? Because I also did that all manually. Like, one thing I've always been great about is always, like, I still had all my contacts from years ago. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody's address. I want whatever you'll give me, I want it all. And so I did have all of that, but it was really time intensive. Like, to that first weekend when I was I was, like, texting people for hours, like 8 hours probably that first Saturday.
Right,
And
right,
then, so then it naturally made me think of Tiyana because, Beauty Pro Funnels,
right.
her software, which I was just like, there's got to be a way to do this. Well, I knew that there was a way to do it easier, and I was already familiar with a similar type of platform, but because hers is built specifically for makeup artists, I was
Right.
like, oh my gosh, like, this would make it a lot easier. And then when I told Tayana about what I had done, it just was like a natural merging because she was really able to come in and say, like, here's how we make this easier. Here's how we make it look pretty.
Okay.
All the things Tayana.
Right.
And so it just was like, I specifically went to her because I felt like, hey, like, I feel that we're not the kids anymore. Like, we've kind of grown up in this industry, and, I think it's our turn to give back, maybe in a bigger way than we have before, because I think now it's like the responsibility of looking at, like, what's going on and how can we make things easier for,
Yeah.
like, this next generation, you know? Um, and so it just, I mean, I'm getting chills thinking about it. Like, it just felt like, hey, like, let's step in and really kind of steward this
Yeah.
next group.
Yeah, for sure. Talk about like the unique things that the two of you bring together. Like when we come to B.Class, what should we expect from like your unique gifts that you're bringing to the conversation and like Tayana's unique gifts that all like make it come together?
Yeah, I mean, I think why we're so excited about this is because we really do complement each other, because our strengths, there's a place where they meet in the middle, but the way we get there is very different. Like, Tayana's very polished, and there's like an elegant grace that's, like, soft, and, she gets her point across in a way that's very, there's like a levity to it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's so approachable. And then there's me. I'm like, the bossy older sister who's like, hey, you know, did you clean your room?
That's
And
cool and
so,
all, but this is how we're going to do it.
right. So I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I think, it's important to, when I see something, I think it's important to be direct and like, let's just distill it down to like the thing that makes it the simplest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much about let's just run with an idea. And I think that Tiyana is very much about, well, let's take an extra beat and make sure that the presentation is amazing,
Okay.
and that the experience, one thing that we both, I think, agree on is that the experience from the very first interaction to the end one has to feel amazing. And we both, I think, provide it in different ways. So when you bring it together, like hers is very much like how it looks, from that first thing. And for me, it's very much like the first time you engage with me, right? And so I think they're both important. And yeah, it's just we're finding that nice spot in between where we're getting both of those.
Yeah, for sure. For a lot of people, this may be like their first introduction to you. Like a lot of us who like maybe little OGs in the industry are
Yeah.
familiar with you. Like people, even when I did the last interview, people were messaging me like, "Oh my God, where's she been?" Like, "Oh my God, Sonia's back." Like, so a lot of people are familiar with you from years ago, but there may be some new makeup artists that are going to be in the room who this may be their first introduction. So when you mention like their maybe like the first touch point or the first interaction with you, like what do you want that to kind of be for them?
Well, I'll say this. I think something I'm clear on, and again, I think maybe this is why Tiyana and I work so well together, because I'm very much about, I like intimacy. And so when I work with clients, whether it's a client in a makeup chair or if they're sitting across from me and talking to me about their business, like I want to know the ins and outs of it all, and so when I craft an email for anybody, I'm like pulling from what I know about them. I like to ask a lot of questions because first of all, I feel like I can't help you unless I really understand,
Mm-hmm.
everything. But I also want you to know that I hear you, that you're valuable to me, and that this isn't like if you're hiring me for your wedding day or for like a big milestone, you're not just someone in my chair. You're not, you know? And I think I also want you to feel the same way if you're, coming to me because you want some kind of guidance on your business, because either way, these are things that mean a lot to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very important thing in your life for a reason. And so I think that part for me is really important from the very beginning.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I know the workshop promises to help artists plan, package, position themselves just for like a more booked and branded bankable 2026. We're like this couldn't be even more perfect going into the new year. But can you give us like a behind the scenes peek of what that process might look like maybe an exercise or transformation without like giving away like the workshop? Like what can we expect?
Yeah. Okay, so I won't give you any exercises, but what I will tell you is that the idea is something that I do with my clients when they've hired me as a consultant, like as a brand elevation strategist. We're always doing strategic planning. And for those of you who might not be familiar with what that exactly means, is we're always making the bigger plan that we're going to break down into the smaller plan. And so, the timing of doing this at the end of 2025 is not an accident. Tiyana and I were very clear that like this is about setting you up for next year. And by the way, like, we're even already late.
Yeah,
Like
about to say.
2026 has already started,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so the intention of the workshop is, number one, we're going to get a plan. Like, what does 2026 mean for you? And it's not just like how many makeup appointments do you want, but it's like, what are you building? What is it that you're actually building?
Yeah.
And the reason why that's really important is because, I said to you, I'm like, I did this campaign, it got this, really great thing. It didn't start off as a campaign, but what it did start off as is that my intention was, I'm going to give myself a year to get back in the weeds of makeup,
Okay.
right? Because I also knew that I did want to educate, mentor, do something in some way. And in order for me to do that, I need to understand what's going on right now. So I need people in my chair so I can speak to and understand what is it that clients want, right? I also need to understand what's the lived experience of a makeup artist, because how can I teach you if I'm out of touch with what's going on, right? And so to me, the decision to offer these sessions was because, sure, there's a cash flow in there as well, but it supports my bigger goal, which is like, I'm planning to like launch education mentorship again, right? So doesn't this make sense that this would be my step?
Yeah.
So you can't really plan like that. You can't really make decisions like that unless you have an idea of what your overarching goals are. And so we're going to start there. What are your big picture things? Some of them are things that you can get done in the next few months or the next year, and some of them are things that will take a little bit longer. I knew that in a year I wasn't going to get to my endpoint, but I knew that in a year I was going to have a lot more information and that I would be launching something.
Yeah, I'm like, you just been collecting the data this whole time.
Oh my God. And also it helped because, I think the way that I used to price my makeup before was, me, I like high end, I like high touch, but it doesn't make sense for every situation. So part of what made this one successful was that I also did it at an entry point price. But that was cool because it needed to be an easy yes for people to say yes, right? If I didn't have that intention in mind, it would have felt like, why am I pricing myself so low?
Yeah.
Right? But it's supporting my bigger decision is, what do you want? You want people in your chair, right? So get people in your chair. You know how to do that, right? But don't make it hard for them to say yes.
Right.
And so I'm a big believer in that. Like once you have your big picture goals, you can start to figure out what are the right next steps for me, and what am I available for? What am I not available for? Those are really important.
Yeah, this
So
is
we start.
I'm just thinking like this is gonna be such a game changer because I know so many makeup artists who spin their wheels a lot of the times just trying to figure out how you actually go from just doing makeup, like just being a makeup artist and taking clients to actually being strategic about their business and how to grow it. So I feel like this is gonna be like really, really good for them. Especially to
Yeah,
have you.
I appreciate that.
Sonya
Thank
gonna whip
you.
y'all into shape. Like I hope she's not gonna be easy on you at all. She's gonna make you think. She's gonna challenge
Tiyana, I'm
you.
nicer. I'm
Like y'all
nicer
just
these
like the good
days.
cop. Sonya like the bad cop.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? To your point, you're so right. And I think that something I'm clear on is like, for anybody who's feeling stuck and not sure how to figure out what's next, if I'm going to leave you with one thing here, and this is as far as we go, it's like think bigger. You have to think bigger. I don't know, and we might be talking, to people who haven't seen this commercial, but do you remember a million years ago there was an Apple commercial? It would just end with think different. It would show all these different ways to use, the MacBook Air, and it was all these different like environments that were more creative, and just not what you would, think for buying a computer.
Yeah.
And I've always loved that ad, but particularly just ending on that note because that's what we're doing. You can do what you have seen, right, and what feels like you should be doing, or we can think differently and we can think bigger and we can, maybe we're using things that we've done in the past but doing it in a way that's slightly different, and that difference makes all the difference. So I think that that's why that first planning session is super important. After that, Tiyana is going to walk everybody through a branding session. And I mean, I think this is really one of the areas where Tiyana just really shines. She has a way of just making, I think it's not only about making things look pretty, because she certainly does that, but I think that I'm very big into energy, as you know, but I think there's an energy behind it,
Yeah.
like when I see her stuff, I feel like, even if you're not the ideal audience, like you feel something when you engage with her brand.
Yeah. It's
And
very
I think,
magnetic.
yes, it very much is. And I think that, it's not about copying what someone else does, but it's like, okay, well, how do I create that energy for, those that are meant to work with me,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So I think that's really going to be where, the artists that join us are really going to get something special. Is just, again, think bigger, think different, right? Then I'm going to walk like step by step everything I did in that campaign. It's part of our booked and brand system. It's called the quick cash flow campaign.
Okay.
So we're going to show you the receipts. I'm going to show you like the exact text message I sent, the upsells I did, why it worked, like the text messages that I sent before that didn't work. Like I'm going to just show all of it.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah, because for us it was like when we say that this is also like bankable, like it's wonderful for things to look pretty, but like let's look at the bank account,
Yeah.
And so what I'm excited about is that this is such a simple way for makeup artists to get booked. Really what's required is for them to just sit there and actually send the message out.
Yeah.
But it's been tested, you know what I mean? And it works. So we're going to show exactly how that happens. And then my favorite part is Tiyana's going to close things out, but just going through like how the whole system could work, like how you can automate it too, because like I mentioned, that first day that I sent out those messages, it took me 8 hours. That first day,
Yeah.
and I wasn't even done. And so now, we've gotten into such a system that it's like literally now you just press a button, you schedule it, and you press a button. And so Tiyana's going to really share how, how the plan comes together, how the brand comes together, how the quick cash flow campaign comes together, all in a system where now you just, click on a button.
This sounds really, really robust. Like my brain is already exploding with everything that everyone is going to learn. What day? What's the date? We got to share the date of the workshop?
Yeah, so Sunday, December 7th,
Okay.
12 p.m. Eastern. We also have the pleasure of having Aquia as our host, so we're so excited that you're going to be there. Yeah, and it's going to be a really, really great day. Like, I think it's going to be an exciting day. Um, and I think, if we've done our jobs right, which I think we're going to, I think people are going to be really inspired, like, and excited about what next year looks like for them.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for them already. But the key thing that you mentioned was them actually doing the work. A lot of people come
Yeah.
to these workshops, they gather the information, but you actually have to do the work to see the results.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, that's something. I think whenever you get into any kind of educational space, you're always going to hear that.
Hmm.
And then also real talk. I think that for some people that will be as far as they can go. Like even just, you know, entering a world where these are, different things that they never thought of that they would be doing as a makeup artist. That might be like as far as they can go. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just opening up a whole other paradigm, and that's great too.
Hmm.
I think putting yourself in rooms like this, virtual or in person, like even that is a huge step, because if you're not engaged in new ideas and like what are people doing, who are leading my industry, like where is my industry going, and so this kind of ties back to what I was saying to you before of Tiyana and I are taking this as a big responsibility of like, really ushering this new generation, because it is our job to be telling you now, like, hey, look this way, right?
Right.
Because when we were, growing and building, like we had people who did that for us too.
Hmm.
And so, I think if you're just starting or you've been doing this for a few years and you're still figuring it out, or you're going through some kind of new phase, or it's all part of it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, for sure. So when you look back at your journey, because I feel like 20 plus years, you've kind of been through it all in the industry. You've had low pricing, you've done the coaching, you've had six-figure business, you took some time away, you came back. But when you look back at it, what's one lesson that you wish like every beauty pro could learn like sooner instead of going through like a whole bunch of trial and error?
Well, I don't think I would rob anybody of the experience of the trial and error now. We
Hmm.
all want to get there, and I mean, I'm still like that. I mean, there was over the last year, there's been months where I'm like, oh, is this working? You know, we all have it.
Yeah.
I think that comes when you put yourself in a position where you're stretching yourself and you're going for something, you know, bigger, then you're going to feel those things. So it's good to feel those things. I think, yeah, no, I wouldn't want anyone to miss out on the trial and errors. If I was going to say one thing is like, don't miss out on the trial and errors. Like, just do stuff. Just do stuff. And do your best depending on, you know, your personality and your belief system. I mean, I take failures very, very hard, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
fortunately I'm able to look back and then realize they weren't failures, they were leading to something else. It takes, you know, usually like you're on the other side of it,
Yeah.
but the more that you can do to not define something as a failure, I think that helps tremendously.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning that sooner and learning that the trial and error is a part of it. Like you can't avoid it.
Big part of it. Yeah, it's a big part of it.
Yeah. When you look back at things too and realize, I think I always tell people it's levels to things. So people, especially with the pricing thing, the pricing I feel like is one of those things that I don't know if we'll ever get to a general consensus in the industry about pricing just because of so many factors that go into it. But when people start off super low and then they reach the next level where they feel like, okay, maybe I want to raise my rate. And then you reach another level where it's like, okay, maybe I want to start teaching people. Like, how do you measure like if you're doing well in those moments? Like a lot of people don't have a lot of things to measure their success off of as opposed to just being monetary. But like how can you measure your success as you're growing through the industry? I guess
That's such a good question. I mean, Akuya, I know that you would 100% agree with this. I mean, this business, if you've decided that this is the business that you've chosen to be in, you know, there's so much community here. And like, that's one of the things that I love about what you're doing with Friends of Beauty, you know, really creating, there's more community than ever, you know, in here, but it's also a very personal journey. Like, it looks different for everybody. And so I think if you have the ability and the good fortune to have good people around you who can help you measure your success, not only by what you're seeing in your bank account, but like, how are you growing? How are you showing up? You know,
Mhm.
like, you know, because I think like I'm very like, now looking back at this last year, I'm like so proud of myself for this last year, you know. And it's not that every single month I've, you know, killed it, you know, it just is, some months are better
Yeah.
than others and all of that, but like, you know, I'm really proud of myself because, you know, I made myself the promise, like, I'm giving this a year and I'm gonna just go in, you know, all in, and I did. And you know, there's been parts that have been messy, there have been parts that have been amazing, you know, and it's all part of it. And if I would have stopped, if I would have disconnected from my bigger goal, from my bigger dream, then I would have allowed myself to believe that there was something wrong. And so I say all of this to say that I think and this is why the planning is so important. If you don't know what's important to you, you cannot measure your progress against that. Because it's like, I promise you, there's going to be times where your bank account looks horrible
Mhm.
and you're closer to everything that you want than ever before.
Right. Like make it make sense.
Yeah, and sometimes, and this is why I think having good people around is important too. Sometimes you're not going to be able to see it. It's so emotional. If you're really in it, you're going to care, you know? And so having wonderful people around, you know, one of my best friends, well, my best friend, Tim, in the
Yeah.
entire world, you know, and one of the things that I'm so grateful for is that he, you know, when I'm in the thick of something, he is still like, no, you are doing amazing.
Yeah.
You are doing amazing, and it doesn't look like that, but we're here, and it's always a we. You know, he's always got my back, no matter
Mhm.
what. Um, and so I think that's important. You have to be good with you. Like, you have to know what you're in this for, and you have to keep reconnecting to that big why.
Hey, friends in beauty. If you're a professional makeup artist or beauty pro who is tired of juggling multiple tools to run your business, I got great news for you. Beauty Pro Funnels is here to simplify your life and take your business to the next level. Unlike other platforms like Wix, Squarespace, or Acuity, Beauty Pro Funnels was created by a makeup artist for makeup artists. This is the world's first all-in-one software that helps you book clients, sell your products, and even launch courses all in one place. No need for separate subscriptions that drain your wallet or tools that don't speak your language as a beauty pro. With Beauty Pro Funnels, you're not just getting another booking tool. You're unlocking the ability to create multiple revenue streams. So whether you're behind the chair or not, you're making money. Imagine accepting bookings, selling your beauty products, and offering courses all without the stress of managing separate systems. That could be a big headache. Let me break it down to you one more time. Your website, build it on Beauty Pro Funnels. Your portfolio, build it on Beauty Pro Funnels. Your booking site, build it on Beauty Pro Funnels. And your e-commerce site, host it in Beauty Pro Funnels. Want to offer beauty courses or digital products? You can sell them inside of Beauty Pro Funnels, and you'll be able to send invoices, digital contracts, newsletters, and do all of your marketing directly from your Beauty Pro Funnels account. It's mind-blowing. Listen, you're going to save hundreds of dollars every single month by replacing over 10 platforms when you make the switch to Beauty Pro Funnels like Wix, Squarespace, Acuity, WordPress, Vagaro, Honeybooks, 17 Hats, Dubsado, MailChimp, Klaviyo, Kajabi, DocuSign, even Shopify. It's crazy. I know you got at least one of those. And here's the best part. Tiyana and her team spent over a year building plug-and-play templates into your account for pretty much everything, so you never have to start from scratch at all. So all of your appointment confirmations, reminders, and payment reminders and stuff like that for your clients, they have already been written out for you. You can even gather reviews and referrals all on autopilot. You'll free up so many hours of time each week so you can focus on what you love, your artistry. Plus, with their mobile app, you can manage your entire business from the palm of your hand, send invoices, schedule appointments, and even take payments on the go. I believe in Beauty Pro Funnels so much that I recently moved the Friends of Beauty site to Beauty Pro Funnels, and I am loving it. It's a game changer because it's not just a platform. I swear it is like having your personal business assistant designed specifically for makeup artists and beauty pros like you. So here's the deal. If you want to see what all the hype is about, visit getbeautyprofunnels.com/friends to get a personalized tour and see how Beauty Pro Funnels can transform your business today. That's getbeautyprofunnels.com/friends because you deserve the best tool for your beauty business. Absolutely. Yeah. That sounds like something similar I just said on the podcast of just reconnecting with your why. Because the reason why you started 10 years ago, whatever, might not be the same reason that fuels you now. So I think things like the B.Class, like regularly checking in with yourself and your business, helps you to stay aligned with what the vision is going forward. It
Yeah,
changes.
it does change. And like to give you an example, so those were the goals I had for myself last year, but that's still not even my bigger overarching goal, which was when I'm 46 now, and so I think it was on my 44th birthday. Like, um, I've been saying I've been going through a midlife crisis for like 8 years. Like, I don't know, I just been in there for a long time, but I just remember when that birthday was approaching that I was asking myself, like, there's a potential that I've lived half my life. And so I don't think that, by the way, I think I'm going to be one of those that's like around to like, 100. Yeah, like I'm so that girl. But it just made me start asking, like, what is this next half of my life about? And I felt that the work that I was doing was valuable, but it just didn't feel that it was leaving the impact of legacy that I wanted. And so I, made a really big decision. And I said, I'm like, you know what? The clients I have now, the work I have now, I'm going to let that all go because it's not them, it's me. Like, everything is fine with that. Like, but I also think I have to go on this journey and I don't know how this is going to look.
Yeah.
And then in a year later, here I am back in New Jersey. Like, it just be open to whatever's happening, but I'm so much closer. Like, I'm so much more excited about what I'm building now and what I'm doing now. And so, and I've been told a million times in between, like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy. What are you doing? But at the end of the day, like I know what I'm doing. I know that when I take my last breath, and not to be so morbid, but a little bit morbid, like I just want to be cool with man, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good with what I did here.
Yeah.
You know?
No regrets. No, I wish I would have,
No.
should have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just not the life. That's just not the life that I want to lead. And so yeah, it all ties together. And like if you're cool with that, that's that wasn't a thought I had in my 30s, and it wasn't the thought I had in my 20s. So it's going to be different, in different seasons of your life. But just when you have those nights when it's just you and how are you measuring up against that version of you that first said, I'm going to do this, or this is what I want.
Right. I love that. Yeah. Okay. One thing I do want to know with the makeup appointments that you booked in advance, if you could share your mindset. I don't know if I asked you this before, but like your mindset behind like taking the money like up front and then having to do the service like when the money is already ran out type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, how do you
Yeah.
feel about that? Because sometimes I'm like,
Well,
why did they pay me up front? I wanted to manage my money.
yeah. Well, see, I think it depends. Like now, when I first ran this campaign, it was in April, and now we're in November. And like one of the things that I said was like, you have until the end of the year to book,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I gave them a lot of time because, again, I wanted it to be so easy for them to say yes. And so I think that the way that you collect payment, I don't think that it's one way is right or wrong. But what I did feel was like, okay, I'm going to give you a great deal, and I want you to meet me where I'm at. Like, I'm going to stretch myself for you, and I want you to stretch yourself to meet me. And so
Uh-huh.
that's why for me, it felt like, yeah, this feels like I feel good about doing a paid in full, because I did not want in that moment to deal with like more admin stuff. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, yeah,
So for me, it just felt like this isn't a big deal for this, and I think it also depends on what your goals are. Like sometimes I do offer things like pay in full bonuses. I always offer a fast action bonus. I give people a timeline, and if you say yes by this timeline, you'll get this
yeah,
thing. I believe very much in that stuff, because I also think sometimes people need help making decisions. It's like, how many times have we gotten a text? I've been looking at this one email, Akuya, for the last 3 days for this early bird ticket for something, which by the way is only $20. And I still haven't bought it because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be available. It's only $20. You know what I
uh,
mean? That's what we do. And so I think it depends. I don't think it's a one size fits all. But for that one, I just felt like I just wanted to be one and done. I know I'm very much an integrity. Like if I say I'm going to be somewhere and all that, like I'm going to be there, and I'm
yeah,
happy to do it. But here's the other thing too. It's like when this idea of think bigger. Do you know how many upsells and things can happen? So if someone bought something in April and they're not using it to November, in my instance, because I can also do hair and whatever, but like maybe I follow up with them and like, hey, did you want to add this thing on? Or, if you bring a friend, I'll give you this extra one
yeah,
for this price. Like there's so many things you can do with it. And that time in between, because if you think about it, someone purchased in April. There's all this time now, and now it's November.
mm-hmm,
They already forgot about that feeling of that one,
right, right,
you know? So it's like another opportunity if you want it. It's all how you think about it. And like, all you're doing is offering. If they don't want it, they don't, have to get it. And also, by the way, if you don't want to do a paid, you don't have to,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure, for sure. Can you talk about the dark side of being like a busy, like the busy makeup artist? Because I remember one time when I was doing coaching calls and stuff at one point, this lady in Chicago, I would never forget that she told me she had like 15 makeup appointments in a weekend. And when I asked her rate, it was like something that was like so low that I guess she had to do a whole bunch of makeup appointments to reach a certain number. But like, what do people not talk about when you see the busy makeup artists and the rates and stuff?
I definitely would love for you to clarify that a little bit, because I have to say, I mean, I think I've, kind of been around this for a while, and like, um, it's just not something I guess my world is not, I'm not really interacting that much with artists who are really underpricing themselves in that way. I know that it still exists.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because there's also a wealth of information out now, and I think that you know there'll always be artists there's different tiers for pricing, right? That's always going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that if someone is coming in even below kind of the standard, I would invite them to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? Like that, I would get curious about that part. But I feel like there might be an opportunity that we might be able to help an artist like that right now more. So what can you clarify?
Yeah, like
What do you think might be helpful for them to hear?
yeah, like if anything, the things that come along with having a rate that's too low or a rate that's not competitive for the industry, like the different things that come along with it that nobody really talks about.
Oh yeah. Well, the first one is tire kickers.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. And that this is not even specific to makeup artists. This is like sales psychology.
Yeah.
If you like think of it this way. Let's say you look at a menu and there's only 3 options on the menu. Typically the option in the middle is the one that sells the best,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's a reason for that because some people are thinking like, well, why is this one so cheap? That one feels really expensive. Let me just do the one in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Now there's going to be some people who naturally go for the highest tiered one because it's the highest tiered one.
Right.
Those are the
And they want the most
people I love.
expensive thing on the menu.
Those are the ones I love, right? Because they have a different buying psychology.
Mm-hmm.
But with this example, like if a makeup artist is not even pricing themselves at that lowest one, it's someone who's not even willing to look at that menu,
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing in a situation like that is you're training your clients to know that you are a bargain artist. And
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that your artistry is not bargain by any means. But I think it's a great way to get resentful and
Yeah.
disenfranchised with what you're doing. I think it's a great way to never want to give. So, for example, something that I do for every client, every makeup client, when they sign an agreement, they always get a bonus that they weren't expecting. Whether it's I'll meet you for an hour at your venue for like something
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't bargain for. And I feel so great doing that because I also feel like my clients, it's not only that they're, investing at a higher level, but it's like, my clients are amazing. Like they are so easy to work with. They're so excited about it. They really love the work that I'm doing. They feel good. And I
Uh-huh.
just want to make them feel great. I don't think that can happen if I feel like I am, already stretched thin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like I think you're setting yourself up to start hating what you do and hating your clients.
Yeah, for sure. That resentment definitely starts to build.
Yeah.
I've been there before. One thing you mentioned earlier too was the $1,000 bride concept some years ago. And even though you said it doesn't necessarily have to be $1,000, but it could be a number that stretches you and like just helps them to like raise their rate confidently, but also stretches them a little bit. I remember when I used to try to raise my rate, I would always just be like, let me just throw a number out there and like whoever takes it next, I know I'm not crazy. So that's how I used to raise my rate back in the day. But what during that time where this kind of concept was foreign to people weren't necessarily trying to charge 1,000 and up for a bride. What kind of resistance did your students or the people that you were coaching at that time have as far as raising their rate to something like so premium and like the mindset shift that might have had to happen for them to do that?
Yeah, that's I love that question because that was a few years ago for sure, and it's still something that it'll always be right because we'll
Mm-hmm.
always have a new upper limit. I think back then there was resistance, like oh my gosh, because by the way, now $1,000 is
It's
like
nothing.
it's a pretty standard,
Yeah.
which isn't that amazing? I
I
was
love
thinking that the
that.
other day. It's like, isn't that amazing? But back then, it was like, okay, well then, because I do really agree that you have to feel that stretch. Like you got to feel like, because yeah, you got to get up extra early that morning. You got to put on your Sunday. You got to like really, you have to care. So
Mm-hmm.
what's a number that would make you care so that whoever is sitting in your chair, this is the most important day in their life up until this point.
Right.
They deserve someone who's with them and is taking it just as seriously. So what is that number for you where you are going to show up and that's, from end to end, that's how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're going to start hearing numbers because you could be like if I was sitting with you in a coaching session, I'd be like, okay, 1,000. You'd be like, 800,
Right.
600.
Okay.
Yeah, I could do that one. It
Right.
scares me, but I could do that one, right? So that would be the starting off one too, because I'm a big person with energy, and I think like you have to find like what is that baseline for someone, For someone, it could be like, sure, I can go from 200 to 1,000, and that like that's going to be my stretch. But for someone else, it might be 400, and that's a giant leap,
Right.
you
That's a
know.
feel.
Yeah, it really is. I think what you're looking for is like, how does it feel around it? You want to feel a little scared. You want to feel like, holy shit, if this doesn't go right, like they're going to be upset. So I got to make sure I set out a whole separate day to go shopping for this person and did this and what, like that's the energy you want to come with.
Absolutely. I know the premium offers come with the premium positioning as well. And some people, I don't know if they're afraid to put themselves out there as like the expert, but do you have any tactics that you used in the past that help to elevate someone's positioning as far as like positioning them as that person that's able to charge more, like in the beauty space?
Yeah, you know what? I think this one is probably the best secret hidden in plain sight. I think that, like, I think of someone like Tiyana. I think of someone like you when I think of this example, but I think, um, shoot, I'll even throw myself in there. This is not you guys, this is me. I don't think I'm an amazing makeup artist. I think I'm a good makeup artist. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, I am not a Sam Fine. There are some people who paint a face and it is just like there is art happening, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I am really great with the schedule, Akuya. I'm really great with like creating an experience. I think you're really good at connecting people. I think Tayana's really good at a beautiful presentation and how do you want to feel. So I say all of this because I think that the secret hidden in plain sight is like, what are you good at in life? And how do you package that into your artistry? Because that becomes your experience now. And that's what makes you now this expert because it's just there's a reason why we're all different and we're great at different things. There's a reason for that, and if you're not including that in your makeup, then you're crazy. Like I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but sometimes like when I'm just doing research, I do go into Instagram and I look at different makeup artist profiles and what are they doing. And there's someone who stood out to me recently because I saw that she has a pretty decent following as a makeup artist, but there's also like a financial advisor end to it. And I'm like,
Okay.
how interesting that you're blowing that too. But then I'm like, you know what? But that is so smart because if she was doing some kind of bridal package, I mean, think of what's going on in that person's life at that time and somehow financial planning might tie into. Let me help you financially plan even your wedding.
Right.
And might that open a door for things even beyond the wedding?
Mm-hmm.
So I love it because I'm like, if this niche exists, if you didn't just create it, it's so small that there's only like 5 of you in there. You're
Right.
gonna kill it with that.
I think one of the things about our talents or our natural God-given gifts is like we don't take it seriously or we don't necessarily recognize it as something that is monetizable or something that makes a big deal. So we end up taking it for granted, I guess, in a sense. So with that being said, like what is some how do you see beauty pros misunderstanding how to package their talent when their talent is something that's just like I don't know. It's just natural God given.
Yeah, I think most of that is it's just ignorance. It's just like not knowing what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, there's something really valuable when you start to really not only go to makeup classes and business classes for makeup artists, but just like trainings and workshops and of all sorts, because, I really, it was stuff that I was already doing when it came to my stuff. But you know what? Like now, when I put together a proposal for someone, like my coordination, my the timelines, even when I add like a separate extra, like a cushion time. Let's say if someone didn't do a trial, but all those things are now separate line items, where before I would just do them and I would never communicate them.
Mm.
And so there was so much value that people weren't hearing because I never said it. And I didn't know, because I'm like, and it wasn't until I had a team where they were like, yeah, no one's doing this. Like, and I'm like, what? I'm like, how are you? Like, I need a calendar. I need to see what's going on,
Yeah.
And so that means a lot to someone, because think about how chaotic those days are, right? I'm also like a bit picky and a bit snobby. So when people ask for my help in like curating a team, I'm not just getting bodies. I'm like, okay, what's your personality like? What's the aesthetic like? What's the look? What are we going for? And then also, is this a person that can complement like my work, where, so I have artists like that and stylists like that at different tiers as well, depending on where they need it, right? And so that's my joy.
Yeah.
Like as gross as it is, that's my joy. But I think that, there's something that we can add to everyone. And if you don't know yet, just test it, throw it in there. If you give it as a gift in the beginning, you'll see what the response is. And if it works, you can start to monetize it as well. And you don't even have to monetize it as its own separate thing. You just build it into the package, and now it's something that they get.
I remember one thing that helped. I think it was in your program, and maybe I don't know who had us do it. Maybe you or Patty had us send out surveys to people and ask them like certain questions about ourselves. I thought that was like really helpful, because people started to say kind of like the same things, and I'm like, oh, really, me, little me? Like you start to see the things that people think you're really strong at, and a lot of the things is just like naturally you're like, oh, I didn't even realize like people notice that. That's just what I do.
You know what? And that's such I
It
can't
was
believe
client,
I forgot
friends, and
about that.
family, or something like that. Clients,
Oh,
friends,
yes, yes. Like, what are my
yes.
gifts? Like the
Yeah,
email, like, can you give me like, what are my gifts? And all, and you know what? You're so right. And it's also a great idea to just survey your clients as well. I mean, once in a while, because you're right. They're going to tell you.
yep, yeah, they'll tell you for sure. So at the end of the day, like I know you mentioned legacy earlier, but I'm sure the thought of it is always changing. But at this point in your life now, what do you want your legacy to be with the work that you're currently doing?
I mean, I think the legacy actually is always still the same. I think that I really, I enjoy, my biggest passion is like my own personal growth, you know? So I see daily experiences when we're building our businesses, like how we interacted with, the barista at the coffee shop, whatever. I see all of those as like lessons and opportunities, and so I still feel that whether it's a makeup class that I'm teaching, a business class that I'm teaching, whatever it is, that, my work is really to help people, progress their own journey of their own personal growth, because our businesses, they are just a big mirror. They're a big mirror. So yeah, when you see stuff coming up, you can do nothing about it, but sometimes it takes a minute to learn how to actually see it and what does it mean, and then how do you want to respond to it. So to me, that legacy is still there. It's like, it's still the conversation of evolving ourselves, and I don't care if it's through business, if it's through makeup, that's the conversation. That's
Yeah.
my legacy. It's that.
Oh my gosh, the big mirror got me. The big mirror got me because I have a lot. I want to ask you a question too before you go about accountability, because there are a lot of people who I am in community with who want to be held accountable, or they need accountability partners. But it was something I said to my email list one day that was like, accountability can only go so far as the person allows it to go. Because it's like people want to be held accountable, but when they don't do the thing, like you can't go over there and lock them up. Like you can't go over them and smack them. I don't know. Like, what can you say about accountability where it's still, it's not so much of an external thing, but what can people do internally to be held accountable so they can be held accountable? I don't even know. You know what I mean? I don't even know how I'm trying to
I
ask.
so know what you mean. And this is a challenging one because I think that, like I'll say in general, I feel like I'm a pretty accountable person to myself, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that I won't go through phases. Like, for example, I haven't been to the gym in like 2, 3 months. I've had
I
so
can't
much
believe that
going
for
on.
you.
Oh my gosh. No, and it's happened multiple times over the last years. I used to beat myself up about it before.
Mm-hmm.
I've just had so much going on, Akuya. And I think that if I was the person I was a few years ago, I would have been beating myself up about it. But I'm also looking at this now like, hey, it's just a phase. It's fine. I know how to take care of myself. And even if for a little bit I'm not on that, like, I'm just going to flow with what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like I'm never going to go back, you know? Um, we're getting close to the holidays, so it might be a little bit longer, but I'm pretty clear on that. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we all have something that we are committed to. Sometimes it's the thing that moves us forward. Sometimes it's the thing that keeps us in place, and sometimes it's the things that are moving us back, and sometimes it's a combination of all of them. So I do think that you can really only be accountable to yourself. An accountability partner is something I will never offer, and I would never co-sign. I would never, you know, I would say to everybody and anybody who's offering any kind of, like, that's not a thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I just feel like all you're inviting in is someone who is not ready to be accountable, right? Now, for that person on the other side, okay, maybe they're looking for that thing that's going to get them excited and committed about being accountable to that thing. And I do agree. I think you have to do the work. But sometimes if you get that accountability partner too soon, the only thing it makes you do is repel even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, so again, you got to have a conversation with you and you. Like, what are you committed to right now? You know? And if right now, what I'm committed to is like, I am happy with the progress of things. I am still committed to, just being a healthy person.
Mm-hmm.
This is a short period of time. It's fine. I know myself well enough to know that this is a short period of time.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it, you know? But I wouldn't be okay with myself. I mean, I also know when I'm like, I can't go one more day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just know where it's like, no,
The
it's got
breaking
to be
point.
tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. So it just, you have a responsibility to yourself. You really do.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, I have to ask you the Friends and Beauty rapid fire questions that you love so much. But whatever comes to your mind, you can spit it out. So the first one is, what are the top 3 keys to your success so far?
Just a willingness to keep trying, I think, is that one. I think it's redefining negatives into positives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just like staying super committed to, like, you know, my big dream.
Okay. How do you measure your success?
How I feel at the end of the day and like first thing in the morning.
I love that. Okay. I like that. Okay. What's the best advice you ever received or a piece of advice that just always sticks with you?
I think it's something around the idea of like, how am I defining, what's in front of me? Like, am I seeing it as a positive or as a negative? And so if I'm seeing something as a negative, I'm getting much better of like stopping myself and like, okay, no, like, that's just, if I'm choosing this to be negative, it's going to be right. So let me switch this up right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been something that's been a real game changer, I think.
Okay. What advice would you give to another makeup artist right now who is just struggling in their business and they're just ready to give up?
Come to B.Class, booked and branded edition. That was easy.
Duh. I love it. What's a resource that helps you in your business that you can share with the friends and beauty community?
ChatGPT, for
I
sure.
bet.
But honestly, yeah, like I like ChatGPT a lot because I am always bouncing around ideas. And so I really like to talk it through, all that stuff. But I have to be honest, this is like my full first year using beauty pro funnels.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand how you could be running a makeup business right now, not using it. I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I be out in the wild sometimes and people ask me about beauty pro funnels. I'm like, get it. I
Out in the
absolutely
wild.
love just having out in the wild, just at events and stuff. And people ask me about beauty pro funnels and I love it just because everything is in one place. I think if you've been around long enough to experience like the lead pages and the Kajabis and the teachables and the this like all the different platforms that we used to use just to do one thing, the convert kits and the mail. Oh my God, it was so much. It's like all in one place now. I love it.
Yeah, and you know what? I was actually saying this to Tiyana recently on one of our meetings that so it has felt easier because, I was already starting off with stuff that was already pre-built in there,
Mm-hmm.
and you know
Yeah.
me. So I had to go in there and make everything sound like me. But there was a starting off point. So for someone who doesn't have anything like that, I'm like, you could just sign on in and like use it just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
But what I like about right now is like I had one client in particular recently tell me, she's like, everything has felt so professional, like because she gets an email with everything, a text message with everything. She get like just the flows are so great. And like we haven't even done her event day yet. We just did a trial day and she already left a review, you know, and so much of it was she was happy with the day and the services for the trial, but it was more like she just felt taken care of with everything beforehand, the reminders and the thank yous and all of that. And like, that's the piece that, let's be honest, most makeup artists are either working another job, you're doing other things. And so if you have this already going, like the impression that people get from you, which by the way I also love too, because I'm like that also, you're positioning yourself as a higher tier artist, and that's already a reason why your rates get to be different.
Yeah,
But to
yeah.
hear her say that, I said it to Tiyana, I'm like, it like people feel it, like when if you're actually putting it in motion, they feel it. And that's what you want your clients to have.
Yeah. It's so exciting that Tayana's gonna be going through all of this on the B.Class, walking you through, beauty pro funnels. So definitely y'all tune in for that. And I'll leave the link down below for B.Class so y'all can check it out and sign up because we hope to see you there.
Yes,
Yes.
we're so excited.
Yeah, so the last one is just a statement that I want you to repeat and just say, my name is blank, and the key to longevity and success is whatever you think it is.
My name is blank.
Yeah.
Okay, now my name is Sonia, and the key to success and longevity is, I think, staying open and flexible. I do. You just got to roll with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm learning in
Me
real
too.
life too. Yes. Before you go, please share your social media, website, whatever you want people to do to connect with you. Plug B.Class again, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, my socials and my website are the same. Official Sonia Rodriguez. But yeah, I think that this is, first of all, we're doing an early bird for B.Class, booked and branded, $27. It's insane.
That's $27. Okay, it's a
Yeah,
steal.
yeah, and we did that purposely because we really want, we want to make this easy. Like what I said before, let's make this an easy yes. That was the intention. Like, so you can come and spend a day with us, obviously replays, all that kind of stuff. But I will say, really feel, Tayana already talked to me. She's like, let's be nice, Sonia. But I'm like, I really feel like you need to be there. You really need to be there to get the most of it. So, if you really, really can't make it, there's a replay. But even if you can show up for half of it or whatever, like, this is going to change what 2026 looks like for you. You should be leaving there knowing exactly how your next appointments come in.
I love that. Let's get to the coins. Let's get bankable in 2026. Thanks for listening to the Friends in Beauty podcast. Don't forget, sharing is caring. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with another friend in beauty. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review so that other friends in beauty can find the show. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Connect with us on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty Hashtag Friends in Beauty to join the conversation, and join our Friends in Beauty Facebook community to stay connected. Talk to you soon.